was. When I first saw it, I thought that this was a US-made, very advanced next-generation fighter, and in fact that this would explain all the UFO sightings.
Imagine waking up one morning to find out that everything a so-called conspiracy theorist said decades ago might actually be true. That's exactly what's happening right now, and it all started with a mysterious metallic ball that fell from the sky in a small Colombian town. For over 30 years, Bob Lazar has been called a liar, a fraud, and a conspiracy nut. Back in 1989, this man went on television and told the world something that seemed completely impossible. He claimed he worked at a secret military base near Area 51, where he saw alien spacecraft and studied technology that could bend gravity itself. The scientific community laughed at him. The government said he was making it all up. His own colleagues turned their backs on him. But then something incredible happened in March 2025. A smooth, metallic sphere crashed in Buga, Colombia, and when scientists examined it, they couldn't believe their eyes. The object looked almost exactly like the alien gravity reactor Bob Lazar had described more than 3 decades earlier. Suddenly, the man everyone dismissed as crazy didn't seem so crazy anymore. Let me take you back to where this all began. In November 1989, a nervous man appeared on Class TV in Las Vegas. His face was hidden in shadows, and he used a fake name because he was terrified of what might happen to him. This man was Bob Lazar, and he was about to share secrets that would change how people thought about aliens and UFOs forever. Lazar told reporter George Knapp that he had worked at a place called S4, a secret facility located south of the famous Area 51 in Nevada. He wasn't there to make coffee or file papers. According to Lazar, he was hired to reverse engineer alien spacecraft. That means taking apart alien technology to figure out how it works so humans could build their own version. But here's where it gets really interesting. Lazar described seeing 9 flying saucers stored in a hangar. These weren't normal aircraft. They were made from a metallic substance that looked smooth and seamless, almost like liquid titanium had been frozen into the shape of a disc. There were no bolts, no screws, no welds, no visible way that the pieces had been put together. It was as if someone had 3D printed the entire craft in one single piece. The most fascinating part of Lazar's story was about how these spacecraft moved through space. He said they used something called a gravity reactor. This wasn't a rocket engine or anything like that. Instead, it used a mysterious element that didn't exist on Earth at the time. Lazar called it Element 115. According to Lazar, this Element 115 was placed inside a small reactor, no bigger than a basketball. When the element was bombarded with protons, it would create something called antimatter. The antimatter would then collide with regular matter, creating enormous amounts of energy. But that wasn't even the most amazing part. Lazar said this reactor could generate gravity waves that could be amplified and directed in any direction. Think of it this way. Instead of the spacecraft pushing through space like a car driving down a road, it would create its own gravitational field. The craft would literally bend space and time around itself. It wouldn't fly to a destination. It would fold space so that the destination came to it. The spacecraft would essentially fall through space, traveling vast distances almost instantly without feeling any acceleration at all. When Lazar first told this story, scientists shook their heads in disbelief. Element 115 didn't exist. Nobody had ever seen it or made it in a laboratory. The physics he described seemed to violate everything we knew about how gravity works. People said Lazar was either making it all up or had watched too many science fiction movies. But then something strange happened. In 2003, 14 years after Lazar first mentioned Element 115, Russian and American scientists actually created it in a laboratory. They officially named it Moscovium and added it to the periodic table in 2018. Suddenly, part of what Lazar said turned out to be true. Of course, skeptics quickly pointed out that the Moscovium scientists created was extremely unstable. It decayed in less than a second. This wasn't the stable version Lazar described that could power alien spacecraft. But the fact that Element 115 existed at all made some people wonder if maybe, just maybe, Lazar wasn't completely making things up. Still, most scientists remained unconvinced. Without physical evidence of these alien reactors, Lazar's claims stayed in the realm of science fiction and conspiracy theories. That is, until a metallic sphere fell from the sky in Colombia. On March 2nd, 2025, people in the rural town of Buga, Colombia witnessed something extraordinary. Witnesses reported seeing a glowing, metallic sphere moving through the sky in ways that defied explanation. It wasn't moving like a plane or a helicopter. It zigzagged through the air, changed colors, and seemed to move with purpose and intelligence. One witness, a woman named Maria, captured video on March 26 showing this object floating and glowing in various shades of color as it moved erratically across the sky. The movements looked intentional, as if something or someone was controlling it. This wasn't just a balloon drifting in the wind, or a drone flying a programmed path. This thing seemed alive, aware, and in complete control of its movement. Then something shocking happened. The sphere descended toward the ground. Some witnesses said it struck high-voltage power lines and sparked violently before landing. Others claimed it hovered for a moment before gently touching down. Either way, the sphere came to rest in an open field, and a brave local man walked up to it. This anonymous treasure hunter, who had been using electromagnetic detection equipment in the area, picked up the sphere with his bare hands. It weighed only about 4.5 pounds, surprisingly light for a solid metal ball. He handed it over to local authorities and researchers, giving scientists an unprecedented opportunity. For the first time in modern history, the civilian had recovered one of these mysterious flying spheres that had been reported all over the world. The sphere was taken to a laboratory where researchers began examining it in detail. What they discovered left even the most skeptical scientists scratching their heads. The object was about the size of a basketball, perfectly smooth and round. Just like the craft Bob Lazar described, this sphere had no visible seams, welds, or joints anywhere on its surface. It appeared to have been manufactured as one continuous piece of metal. That alone was strange enough. But when they performed X-ray scans of the sphere's interior, things got really weird. The sphere wasn't solid, and it wasn't hollow either. Inside were 3 separate layers of metal, perfectly spaced apart from each other. Between these layers floated tiny microspheres, like little satellites orbiting a planet. At the very center was what appeared to be a dense core or chip of some kind. Scientists stared at these images in amazement. There were no wires connecting anything, no circuits, no visible power source. The components seemed to work simply by being close to each other. This matched exactly what Bob Lazar had said about the alien craft he studied. He specifically mentioned that the technology didn't use traditional wiring. The components functioned through their proximity to one another, operating on principles we don't fully understand. But the similarities didn't stop there. The surface of the Buga sphere was covered in mysterious symbols and markings. These weren't random scratches or manufacturing defects. They appeared to be deliberate engravings, almost like ancient runes or a language nobody could read. Some researchers claimed the symbols resembled ancient Celtic scripts, while others thought they looked like Mesopotamian or Nordic runes. The meaning remained a complete mystery. Inside the sphere, researchers identified what they believed might be a quantum chip surrounded by a belt-like structure dotted with small colored points. If true, this would suggest the sphere contained some form of advanced technology, possibly for communication, navigation, or data storage. The complexity of the internal design was far beyond anything we currently know how to build. Then came the most mind-blowing discovery of all. When scientists tested the sphere's mass and weight, they found something that should be physically impossible. The sphere appeared to reduce its own mass by 81%. Let me explain what that means. If you took an object that should weigh 100 pounds and it somehow reduced its mass by 81%, it would effectively weigh only 19 pounds. The object would still look the same size, but gravity wouldn't pull on it as strongly. This is exactly what Bob Lazar described in his explanation of how alien spacecraft work. He said the gravity reactors could manipulate the gravitational field around the craft, making it lighter or heavier at will. By reducing its mass, the spacecraft could move through space without needing massive amounts of energy to overcome gravity and inertia. Scientists couldn't explain how the Buga sphere was doing this. There's no known material or technology on Earth that can reduce its own mass. This defies our current understanding of physics. Yet there it was, sitting in a laboratory in Colombia, apparently doing the impossible. The area where the sphere landed also showed strange effects. Even though the region receives plenty of rainfall, the grass and soil at the landing site remained unusually dry. The tops of nearby trees showed signs of ionization damage, as if they'd been exposed to some kind of energy field. Whatever this sphere was, it seemed to affect the environment around it in ways scientists are still trying to understand. News of the Buga sphere spread like wildfire across the internet. Social media exploded with theories and speculation. People started comparing the sphere to Bob Lazar's descriptions of alien gravity reactors, and the similarities were impossible to ignore. A perfectly smooth, seamless metallic sphere with multiple internal layers and microspheres floating inside, capable of manipulating its own mass and gravity. This wasn't just similar to what Lazar described. It was practically identical. Suddenly, Bob Lazar's 30-year-old claims didn't sound so crazy anymore. People who had dismissed him as a fraud started reconsidering. Maybe he really did see something at Area 51. Maybe there really are technologies being studied that are far beyond what the public knows about. Of course, not everyone is convinced. Skeptics point out several important issues. First, we still don't know for certain where the Buga sphere came from. Just because it's unusual doesn't automatically mean it's alien technology. It could be an advanced piece of military hardware from a secret government program. It could be an elaborate art project designed to fool people. Some researchers even suggest it might be a sophisticated hoax created to generate publicity. There are also concerns about who's promoting the sphere's authenticity. Jamie Mauson, a Mexican journalist known for sensational UFO claims, has been heavily involved in publicizing the Buga sphere. Mauson previously promoted supposed alien mummies in Peru that were later proven to be fake dolls made from animal bones. His involvement makes some scientists extra cautious about accepting the Buga sphere claims at face value. Additionally, the scientific testing of the sphere hasn't been published in peer-reviewed journals yet. The carbon dating that supposedly showed parts of the sphere were over 12,000 years old only tested resin on the surface, not the metal itself. That resin could have gotten onto the sphere recently through cracks or contamination. The dating methodology has been questioned by experts who say the results don't prove the sphere itself is ancient. Some online investigators have traced social media posts suggesting the entire thing might be viral marketing for a company trying to promote products or services. Without rigorous scientific verification from multiple independent laboratories, we can't say for certain what the Buga sphere really is or where it came from. But here's the thing that keeps this story fascinating. Even if we're skeptical about the Buga sphere specifically, it's not the only mysterious metallic sphere that's been found. There's a pattern of similar objects appearing throughout history and around the world. Back in 1974, a family in Jacksonville, Florida found what became known as the Bet sphere in their yard after a wildfire. This perfectly smooth metal ball weighed about 22 pounds and exhibited bizarre properties. It would roll on its own, change direction without being touched, and emit strange humming sounds. When examined with X-rays, it showed unusual internal structures. Scientists tested it extensively but never fully explained what it was or how it worked. Then there's the sphere discovered by Jim Marlin in New Mexico. Marlin reported strange effects while handling his sphere, including being thrown across a room by a sudden burst of light coming from the object. The sphere showed strong magnetic properties and seemed to have some form of active energy inside it. There are also the massive stone spheres found in Costa Rica, created thousands of years ago by ancient peoples. These perfectly round stones, some weighing several tons, were carved with such precision that their roundness rivals modern manufacturing capabilities. Nobody knows for certain how ancient people created them or why. And let's not forget the increasing number of metallic sphere sightings by military personnel around the world. Navy pilots have filmed these objects moving through the air in ways that defy our understanding of aerodynamics. They accelerate instantly, make impossible turns, and move between air and water seamlessly. The Pentagon has acknowledged these sightings are real and unexplained. So what does all this mean? Are we looking at proof that Bob Lazar was telling the truth all along? Is the Buga sphere evidence of alien technology on Earth? Or is there a more mundane explanation for all of this? The honest answer is that we don't know yet. The investigation into the Buga sphere is ongoing. Scientists from several universities in Colombia are conducting detailed analysis of the object's composition, structure, and properties. International researchers have expressed interest in studying it as well. But this kind of rigorous scientific testing takes time. We need multiple independent laboratories to verify the findings before we can draw any definite conclusions. What we can say is this: the Buga sphere has properties that are extremely unusual and difficult to explain with current technology. Whether those properties are the result of advanced human engineering, natural phenomena we don't understand yet, or something truly otherworldly remains to be determined. What makes the Buga sphere case so compelling is how it connects to Bob Lazar's specific description from decades ago. Lazar didn't just say alien spacecraft existed. He provided detailed technical explanations of how they worked, what they looked like, and what materials they used. The fact that an object has now appeared that matches those descriptions in multiple specific ways is extraordinary. Think about it. Lazar described seamless metallic construction before we had the manufacturing capability to easily create such things. He talked about internal layers and components that work without traditional wiring. He explained how gravity manipulation could reduce an object's mass. He mentioned element 114 years before scientists discovered it. And now we have a physical object that exhibits many of these exact same characteristics. This could be an incredible coincidence. It could be that someone created the Buga sphere based on Lazar's descriptions as an elaborate hoax. Or it could be that Bob Lazar really did encounter technology at Area 51 that operates on principles we're only beginning to discover. The implications of any of these possibilities are profound. If the Buga sphere is a hoax, it demonstrates how easily people can be fooled by combining scientific-sounding claims with mysterious physical objects. It shows the power of belief and how much people want to believe we're not alone in the universe. If it's advanced human technology from a secret military program, that means governments possess capabilities far beyond what they reveal to the public. It would raise serious questions about what else is being kept hidden and why. And if it's genuinely extraterrestrial technology, then everything changes. It would mean intelligent life exists beyond Earth. It would mean that this life has visited our planet and possesses technology that makes our most advanced science look primitive by comparison. It would fundamentally alter our understanding of our place in the universe. What's particularly interesting is how Bob Lazar himself has responded to recent events. After years of being ridiculed and dismissed, Lazar hasn't been gloating or saying "I told you so" in any obnoxious way. In interviews, he's actually expressed regret about coming forward publicly. He's said that speaking out about what he saw at Area 51 brought him nothing but trouble, threats, and ridicule. His employment and education records mysteriously disappeared, making it impossible for him to prove where he worked or went to school. His personal life was turned upside down. Yet despite all that, Lazar has stuck to his story for over 30 years without changing the details. That's unusual for someone making things up. Liars typically adjust their stories over time, adding new details or changing facts when confronted with contradictions. Lazar's core narrative has remained remarkably consistent, even when it would have been easier for him to simply admit he made it all up and move on with his life. When shown videos of Navy pilots encountering mysterious flying objects that move like the craft he described, Lazar's reactions have been measured and thoughtful rather than triumphant. He's acknowledged the similarities but remained cautious about making definitive claims. This behavior doesn't fit the profile of someone trying to perpetuate a decades-long hoax for attention or money. The Buga sphere has given new life to debates about UFOs, alien technology, and government secrecy that have been going on for decades. It's forced skeptics to at least consider the possibility that some of these claims might have substance behind them. And it's reminded believers that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, not just wishful thinking. As we wait for more scientific analysis of the Buga sphere, the story continues to captivate imaginations around the world. People are asking bigger questions now. What if there are other objects like this that have been found and kept secret? What if governments have been studying this technology for years without telling anyone? What if the truth about what's really out there is stranger than any science fiction story we've imagined? The Buga sphere represents something profound beyond just whether it's alien technology or not. It represents humanity's endless curiosity about the unknown, our desire to explore, to discover, to understand mysteries that seem beyond our comprehension. Whether this particular sphere turns out to be extraterrestrial, terrestrial, or something else entirely, it reminds us that our universe is vast and full of wonders we're only beginning to understand. For Bob Lazar, the appearance of the Buga sphere must feel bittersweet. After 3 decades of being called a liar and a fraud, here's an object that looks remarkably like what he described seeing at Area 51. Yet even with this new evidence, many scientists and skeptics still refuse to take his claims seriously. The burden of proof remains incredibly high, as it should be for any extraordinary claim. But something has shifted in the public conversation. People are more willing to consider possibilities they would have dismissed outright just a few years ago. The Pentagon's own acknowledgement that there are aerial phenomena they cannot explain has opened minds to the idea that maybe, just maybe, there are things going on that we don't fully understand yet. The truth about the Buga sphere will eventually come out. Scientists will test it thoroughly, analyze its composition, study its properties, and hopefully share their findings with the world. We'll learn whether it's an amazing discovery or an elaborate deception. Either way, the conversation it sparked about technology, physics, and our place in the universe is valuable in itself. What we can say for certain is this. The story of Bob Lazar and the Buga sphere challenges us to keep our minds open to possibilities while demanding rigorous evidence before accepting claims as fact. It reminds us that the universe is bigger and stranger than we often realize, and that sometimes the most fascinating mysteries are the ones right here on Earth waiting to be solved. Whether Bob Lazar is a whistleblower who saw technology beyond our current understanding or an elaborate storyteller who happened to predict a few things correctly, his impact on UFO culture is undeniable. And now, with the Buga sphere, his 30-year-old claims are getting a second look from people who never took them seriously before. The next few months and years will be crucial as more information comes out about the Buga sphere. Scientists will either confirm it's something truly extraordinary or they'll explain it in conventional terms. Either outcome will be fascinating in its own way, but for now, we're left with tantalizing questions and the electric possibility that maybe, just maybe, there's more to Bob Lazar's story than we ever imagined. The Buga sphere sits in a laboratory somewhere in Colombia, silent and enigmatic, keeping its secrets for now, but its discovery has already accomplished something remarkable. It's brought people together in wonder and curiosity about the mysteries of our universe. It's reminded us that there's still so much we don't know and so much left to discover. And whether you believe Bob Lazar or not, whether you think the Buga sphere is alien technology or an elaborate human creation, you have to admit one thing. This story makes you wonder. It makes you look up at the night sky and ask yourself what else might be out there that we don't know about yet. And that sense of wonder, that curiosity about the unknown, is what drives all great discoveries and pushes humanity forward into the future. So what do you think? Has Bob Lazar been vindicated after all these years? Is the Buga sphere proof of alien technology on Earth? Or is there a more down-to-earth explanation for all of this? The debate continues, and each of us get to decide what we believe based on the evidence available. If this story has captivated you as much as it has millions of others around the world, do me a favor. Hit that like button to let me know you're intrigued by this mystery. Share this video with friends who love unexplained phenomena and want to join the conversation. And subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any updates as more information comes out about the Buga sphere and other mysteries that challenge everything we think we know about our world and beyond. The truth is out there, and together we're going to keep searching for it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll dive even deeper into the unexplained mysteries that make our universe so incredibly fascinating.